So, welcome on this lovely Friday evening to all of you. And this is the second episode of Friday Zone. The last episode focused on a very different issue. It talked about innovating the future of communications through storytelling for a micro audience. This time, we are going one step further and talking about COVID technologies and how they're really shaping communication when it comes to companies with a tech bent. And we're not defining COVID technology as testing kits or ventilators or directly technologies which help deal with COVID patients, but how COVID has really impacted all of us and how it's affecting how we use technology at home and at work. So we are really it's about communicating to the at-home consumer, who's also the work-at-home consumer, and how that communication is changing with the advent of COVID. So we have two very interesting sessions and to take us through all these issues. And we have like a super speaker in the shape of Nikhil Chawla, who is the founder of the Unbiased blog and a tech expert. Welcome, Nikhil.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.
So Nikhil will act like our moral consciousness throughout the whole sessions and talk us through and give us the the unbiased view on what's happening. I'd also like to introduce Neeta Lins, who is DGM Corporate Communications and CSR at LG Electronics. Welcome, Neeta.
Thank you, Parul. Good afternoon, everyone.
And welcome. And Neeta will be talking about basically household technology and how that is consumer technology at home, whether it's in the shape of television or in the shape of other tech. She's going to talk about a specific COVID specific product that LG has launched and how communication has changed according to that. And our second speaker is Masuma Patre. She is Director Communications Emerging Markets, which includes in India, Indochina, frontier markets, and Thailand. She's with Medtronic, and as you know, it's a global medtech company. Welcome, Masuma.
Hi, Parul. Thank you for having me here. Looking forward.
Looking forward to having you there. And Masuma is going to really talk about an equally interesting topic. She's going to talk about medtech and specifically medtech at home and what are the trends in communication around that and what would be the possible impact on the health system of that. So here we go. I'm going to start the conversation with Neeta, but first I'd like to welcome Subra, who leads the technology practice at Hill and Knowlton, and I'd like to request him to set the context for us for this specific episode. Welcome, Subra.
Thanks, Neeta. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for being part of this second edition of Friday Zone. I'd like to thank Parul and the entire team of PR Moment to give us this opportunity where we can share insights, within our industry. The last year and a half has been difficult. Some of us have contracted the dreaded virus. Some of us have even lost some loved ones. The lack of physical social interaction and support structure combined with an increased home management over an extended period has taken a toll on everyone, be it from a mental or a physical health perspective. During such tough times, technology has, the solution has been the solution to various problems. Provided us with a social connect, brought us real-time news updates, got us groceries delivered at home, and even helped us, contact doctors. And at the peak of COVID waves helped, hundreds of people to find, resources, in emergency situations. To alleviate our boredom, OTT platforms have blossomed and content, is being streamed home on our television sets, on our tablets, on our laptops, even work from home furniture, or should I say study from home furniture, because even students have been affected very heavily in this, have become online. So brands are going out of their way to ensure customers, feel comfortable. Technology tools like, artificial intelligence, are being used to heighten customer experience. Our communication has also adapted to the new normal. While the basic purpose remains the same, New methods are being explored. The print medium, which was always considered the gold standard for communication and PR, but however, that has changed significantly. Most people are now are getting online, shifting to online media and platforms. Healthcare communications has been critical during the pandemic. Social media platforms have played a key role in communicating availability of oxygen and critical medicines. And vaccination through the indigenously developed Oven app has been very well appreciated, despite all the initial glitches. And in an age of fake news, certified and credible information portals have been much sought after. So as we look at to the return to normality, there are several questions that are still left unanswered. Would communication strategies change? If yes, how different would they be? Would print make a strong return? To discuss this, I'd like to welcome again Nita, Masuma, and Nikhil to the second edition of
Thank
Friday
you.
Zone.
Thank you so much, Bra, for laying it out so well for all of us. And huge thanks to Abhishek and Megha and Helen Knowlton, who's really offered us this platform to discuss these issues. So I'm going to take off first with Neeta. And Neeta, my first question to you is that what do you see as COVID technology at home as a consumer electronics firm? How would you define it from the perspective of your company?
We can say that entirely the consumer behavior at home has changed. For example, I'll talk about a TV category. So pre-pandemic, if we have a look, people used to say that, nowadays nobody watches TV. Your mobile is your secondary screen. And for entertainment, you're going to cinema. But then suddenly we had this pandemic and, there was a lockdown. Kids were doing online classes. There was no cinema for entertainment. So we could see a surge in sales of large screen televisions because everybody needed one individual screen for either work from home scenario or for an online school or simply for an entertainment. So the technology usage, I would say, has evolved. Now microwave, if you talk about it, it was called a luxury product. Because in India, in spite of so many sensitization programs, it had been always used only for reheating. But yes, this lockdown was tough. I won't say that, this was more of a festival, but it won't be wrong to say that the last lockdown was almost like a festival where we could see people were lifting, large number of groceries and, trying all the delicacies possible at their homes. People almost became home chefs and we ran out of microwave stock because nobody was expecting that kind of sellout could happen. And, that was very interesting that years of sensitization program could not convert microwave into a cooking device, but lockdown or when people stayed at home and they wanted some good dine out experience. So they tried those recipes at home. So these kind of products, gaming monitors, it became such a big hit because the entertainment, everything was your home, be it office, school, entertainment. So we could see a surge in, sale of gaming monitors. So be it televisions, microwaves, gaming monitor, entirely the technology evolved and we could see more acceptance for these products by consumers.
So it was almost like a tipping point. COVID acted like a tipping point. What are the other changes that you've observed in how consumers are interacting with technology at home? Because now their office and home is colliding. So you might be cooking while you're on a Zoom, while you have breaks between Zoom calls, and at the same time maybe you want a big screen so you can watch what your child is actually studying and making sure he's actually online studying. So how would you describe the major aspects of these trends?
Parul, I was just reading a report by Accenture, which has been released, I think, 2 days back. And as per that, almost 71% of consumer behavior has changed during pandemic and during this current stage. So earlier, these home appliances, washing machine, refrigerator, or home electronics like television, these were more of a functional usage. But now we could see a very, a very good transition in terms of health and hygiene. So in fact, we have taken that platform. Like earlier, somebody buying a washing machine, that person would just look at what is the size of the washing machine, okay, what is the electricity consumption, how are the aesthetics, and that's it. And that person will buy the washing machine. But today they talk about that, okay, it has steam technology, so which ensures that, it kills 99.9% bacteria. People are moving to bigger capacity refrigerator because, of course, as a consumer, my grocery tools are reduced. Maybe earlier I was shopping once in a week, but now it has become twice in 15 days or once in 15 days. So I need a bigger capacity refrigerator. So we could see a surge in bigger capacity appliances, be it washing machine or a refrigerator, because the usage is more. Similarly, we have XBoom, our audio entertainment system. So now people come and say that we want to have karaoke at home. So we want to have the entertainment at home, and can you give us some more options? So we could see a surge in these kind of products. So health and hygiene has become a key theme for home appliances and entertainment for home electronics. So these two elements, I could say, are driving the consumer conversation both in terms of ATL and at the store. And that's how we are also, trying to tweak our product lineup or conversations. Like last year when COVID was knocking on the door, so the management decided that what real consumer offers you can give, that's fine, but it's a very difficult situation. So can you do something for them? So we launched COVID insurance. So anybody buying home appliances, and we are almost running that program for past 1.5 years. And because that was something very, very meaningful, because almost every other family was getting affected. And of course, there were medical bills. So we wanted to give some meaningful offers. So that's why COVID insurance was introduced. So one could say that the entire communication, product strategy, ATL, BTL, everything moved towards pandemic on, how do you offer the consumer best what they are looking at the ground, keeping in mind the pandemic.
That's really fascinating. I'm also very, very interested in the shift towards health and hygiene as a super trend on top of at-home technology. I'll come back to you, Nita, in a few minutes. I'd like to bring in Nikhil at this point. Nikhil, what is your take on some of the points that have been raised about at-home tech, and do you see it all dovetailing into a bigger trend on finally the Internet of Things could finally be here?
Absolutely. I think Neeta missed on two of the my favorite products they launched in the pandemic age. First was the Tone Buds they launched with UV in it. So when you open that and each time you put your earbuds back, the UV light cleans it, which is really important because, ear hygiene is really important. So that was a really great product that LG launched, and I really love that. And I personally also use it. So as soon as you keep your buds in it, shut the lid, it UV light clears it and the germs are killed, and then you know that you're safe and protected. And even if you're like, two people are using it, you know that it has been UV cleaned. One that, and they also launched the air purifier mask, which was something very unique. And, though an expensive category and a very limited use scenario in terms of, the people would spend that much amount on a mask. But, the companies really trying to bring out those products that really were not even thought of a year or 2 years ago. So these categories companies getting into. And in terms of IoT, I think I never thought that I'll place a Alexa with screen in my kitchen, but because we're spending so much time cooking and, watching there, standing there in the kitchen while things are being cooked. So me and my wife decided, why not we put like an Alexa there, we're listening to music while it's cooking, or, looking at recipes and all. So this shift has been really, really something that I never imagined. Being a tech guy myself, I never thought I'll place an Alexa in the kitchen, or, place something like an IoT product in the kitchen that's always, there for us. But these things have really, the way we are now spending most of the time at home, things have changed. And the reason is that this Zoom call we're having, for example, it's like something that we never thought of. The previous organization I was working with, I don't want to name, but I was working with, they never allowed remote working. Now for the past 2 years, they're all doing remote working. Not even a day was allowed. So, and while I was like switching jobs, I asked them, if you allow remote working, I would like to focus on something that I'm doing as an independent, content creator. They said, no, at our company, we don't really do that. So if that was the case, I would have still with them. So maybe whatever happens for the best. But then the point is being this transition has been quick and this transition has been really forced upon us. And I think it is for the good because we are learning so many things. Things are happening so fast. Parents now know how to, pay online, shop online, not just book cabs, just do all their grocery shopping online and do a lot of transactional stuff online, even though they always acted like noobs in front of us that, we don't know how to do it. But then really learning with the pandemic in a very quick manner. So it has been for everybody. And then, like Neeta mentioned, the demand for karaoke systems or gaming monitors, I'm sure everybody's looking out for them because entertainment is at home, shopping is at home, work is at home, everything is at home. So all the things that we used to source out or, go out and experience have to be at home or at our place. So fortunately that, this home office transition I made was like before the pandemic. So I didn't feel a lot of a change, but this is the home office I'm working from. This is like a separate place I've created in my home and it's been there for 3 years. So for me, it was not a great transition because I've always been not commuting, making sure that I'm sitting at home and working, not wasting time on commuting, just commuting for meetings. And that I've also gone now. So it's Zoom calls for meetings like we're doing right now. So this is what I have experienced myself.
Thank you. I'd like to take the question over to Neeta. So what does this really mean about how a consumer experiences products? You talked about a lot of new products that you've launched. Nikhil mentioned the UV cleaning, self-cleaning UV earbuds. So how do you really get the consumer to experience the product sitting at home and making sure that there is a meaningful experience and authentic experience of that product? How do you communicate that?
So for that, we have tried to improvise our websites with videos and more video content for the product usage. Of course, engaging a lot of influencers also. Like when we launched in January, this India's first earbud with the UV nanotechnology. So that was something very, very unique. And how do you communicate it to the consumer? Because had it been a normal scenario, there would have been a big bang launch, followed by a lot of on-the-ground activations. So, of course, that's a challenging situation. But what we did was that people are moving to digital platforms. So, instead of having a traditional launch, we try to do an online launch. And of course, we got some good influencers who themselves reviewed the product. And this content helped in sensitizing people. We could get some good leads in terms of where people were curious to know. And then we could see some footfall at our stores as well for the product. So these kind of events, communication, we are trying to drive in. And digital, of course, is the main platform, we could say, that is helping us driving product communication.
So what does it mean for you as a communicator to handle so many multiple points of communication and to make sure that the consumer is well informed? What does it mean for you? Has the demand on your time gone up? How are you strategizing your communication to consumers?
So as a communicator, yes, definitely it's a challenge. As I said earlier, that it demands new platforms and the new methods of how to entice the consumer and how to tell them. For smaller products, still, digital drive a lot of conversation. But for heavy products, it's still a very touch and feel kind of industry. So if I'm buying a 400 liters refrigerator, there's still, across India, not more than 20% people who are buying it online. 80% would still like to go to the store. So what they are doing is that, of course, the time spent in the store has been also reduced. Like earlier, they used to visit 10 shops, feel the product, and then they decide their final purchase. But now they are doing all the search online. They are reading reviews online. And then for the final purchase, they are visiting the store. So as a communicator or as a marketing expert, one has to be, very smart enough that at the store, how can you further reduce the time conversation with the customer? So you have better processes in the store, which helps the consumer to finalize their purchase and reduce that timeline. And of course, as a communicator, I think all of us at LG Electronics, we have literally relearned the digital medium, be it a product marketing manager, be it a Copcom person, be it a salesperson. So everybody has relearned the digital platform, that how to give the maximum information to consumers and make their journey super smooth. We have also online brand store, which was launched during this time. So you can do direct booking, which can be delivered from the brand, so that people can have the product sitting at the comfort of their homes.
That's really very interesting to hear. So I'm going to pick up one point and take it over to Nikhil. You mentioned that you really want to make it really smooth and you had to relearn. Everybody's had to relearn the digital journey. So Nikhil, given the angry, impatient Indian customer who doesn't hesitate to go to digital and share his views. So when it comes to that, what do you think that are the top one or two points that communicators should keep in mind when it comes to the evolving consumer who's primarily at home? Neeta mentioned that 71% of their behavior has changed. So keeping all this in mind, Nikhil, what are your views on the topic?
I think it's really important to be active on platforms that you're posting on. It's not just being there to post stuff and not, reply to queries and all. Also, it's important to have, if you can't really do with the brand account, have a specific handle to handle all those queries, like a helpline system. Because a lot of brands feel that there should be a different handle where all the queries are answered, so that the brand content that is going should not look like, just answering queries and all. So if you have two channels, that's great. If you have just one channel, then make sure that there is a time mentioned that, we answer queries from this time to this time, so that, the user expectation is set that after 8 p.m. I might get a reply next morning at 8 a.m. So they're not like, bashing you, because Twitter in a way has become a platform. You just go out, bash a brand and get your work done. This is something that has really been going on forever. And even if you raising a complaint, it's important to understand that the teams have reduced for every organization. It's not like the full force is working, and there's, even at the contact centers, the teams are reduced. And a lot of call centers you call, they specifically mentioned, that our staff is reduced, or we are like different tangent we're working at now, and your queries will take longer to respond. So it's important to convey it in the beginning itself that, this is how we're working right now. So, I mean, I'm sure Neeta knows that, but all my appliances are LG at home, from ACs to refrigerator and all. And recently I had a, service request for the AC, and it was like very prompt. I just, called the contact center. They arranged it within the same day, and it just really happened. It wasn't, very different for me. In fact, I was expecting a bit of a delay, but that really never happened. That's kudos to you guys. And also they're taking precaution, wearing shoe coverings, wearing, mask all the time, sanitizing themselves, asking that we can enter now, or, you want to sanitize us first. So these processes has been implemented to the, minutest level. It's not just the honchos talking about how precautions are being taken, but at the very, very basic level, the staff has been sanitized, and they know how to, not just straight away walk in, stand at the door and check, can we enter? Do we need to, wear a shoe cover? Should we remove the shoes? All these things that I felt was not there in the past. Now, this is something that I really loved, and, this is for everybody's hygiene. It's not just for them or us, but the kind of precautions being followed. So that's about it. I think this is the changes that I've felt. And in terms of, answering queries, as I mentioned, that, be very specific about it, that this is the time slot we operate at. This is when your queries will be solved. This is the time or duration we take to usually answer your queries, or, your problems that you're facing. So that is how you streamline the process. Otherwise, it'll just gonna be a bashing ground.
Thank you, Nikhil. We're going to be coming to Masuma after a short break in terms of we'll be doing a Q&A now, and audience is welcome to share their questions. While we're doing the Q&A, I'm just launching this brief poll on the major takeaways from this particular session. So please share your views. Like I said, this is sorry. I'll just excuse me. I'll just have to relaunch it. Sorry. Sorry. I'm very sorry. So I'm just going to launch this poll again. And anybody has any questions, we'll be happy to look at that. Any questions for Neeta and Nikhil on what we have discussed so far? I'll sort of recap what has been said. what Neeta has been saying is that health and hygiene has become like a super trend on top of any technology that is being offered at home. And Nikhil really pointed out that technology has invaded every part of the home. He has an Alexa in his kitchen, and it's really become fairly seamless. Entertainment, work, everything is sitting side by side, almost like a news feed at home. And Nita also pointed out that consumer behavior, recent studies have shown that consumer behavior has really changed a lot. And so it's like, there's a lot of change in how people are behaving with consumer technology. And one of the main issues which I have done is the things which were earlier seen as functional, like microwaves and refrigerators, are now not seen as functional anymore, but have also expanded far beyond just mere function, but also used for putting together health and hygiene in a in a very seamless sort of way. So those are the some of the things which have changed. And any questions from the audience? I'd love to take questions. Okay, we have a question, Neeta. We have questions coming in the chat window. First question from Anoop is, what were the challenges faced by organizations in innovating new products, like the UV bud that Nikhil mentioned, and that to do it really short in a very, very challenging time. So, so what were the challenges of that? I think we all love to hear that.
Well, globally, we have a huge R&D facility. So we are not an organization which generally, imports from some other country and then you sell to another country. And in India also, we have a dedicated R&D facility. So where they visit consumer household and they try to spend some time to know the pain points. So of course, what would have happened is that maybe the product which was supposed to be launched after a certain time, but keeping in mind the pandemic, probably this was the right time to introduce these products. So of course, the good R&D base helped in rolling out products faster.
Okay. Is there a follow-up question on that, Anoop? Does that answer your question, or? Okay, I'm launching the poll again, and please do share your views. Okay, so Anoop is saying he's happy with the answer. So there's another question. Shubhrit, would you like to ask the question yourself? If so, please unmute yourself and go ahead. Okay, I'll just ask it for Shubhrit. So, Neeta, the question is, do you think consumer behavior patterns that have changed will remain in place for a long time now? This change is in a way permanent. For example, things that they never bought online, like you said, a large fridge, these kind of changes. Do you think that these are here to stay?
It would be too early to say, Shubhrit, whether this would stay, for a longer period of time. But we assume, and as per the current trend, if people have tasted this, that, that a microwave, you can enjoy making delicacies in a much healthier way. And if people have learned it, so there's no reason to not believe that this will not continue. Because it's all a matter of getting into the usage pattern. So if somebody is using it or somebody has started buying online, like many of us on this call probably graduated to online buying of groceries, which was not earlier the trend. So which will continue, but yes, there would be a mix of it. So somebody will go and dine out, but of course they will use microwave for the cooking. Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting actually, and very aptly said. Are there any more questions from the audience? Anybody from the Hill and Knowlton team would like to make a point or ask a question? Subra, do you have an observation on what has been discussed so far?
Yeah, I have a perspective is that In a way, to talk about what Shubhrit asked, is that I think once things start getting to normal, there would probably be, a mix of doing stuff, like even in terms of work from home. Everyone's talking about the hybrid model, which I think is going to be the future. There would be some amount of people who would be working from home. If someone who recently was following, in Bangalore, uh, the government has actually requested that people continue to work from home because traffic is less, and because they work from home, they're able to build the metro quicker. So these are, the situation is very, very different, but yeah, things, I think the future will see a lot of changes.
Thank you, Subra. So one last call if there are any questions. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and share the results of the poll. So Nita and Nikhil, the main points that you mentioned has resonated with the audience as well. So according to them, at least equally, tech has to now help bridge home and work requirement for the at-home consumer. That's really important for the person at home. The definition of COVID tech has expanded to include household goods, medtech, and also issues of data protection. It's no longer, the testing kit. The at-home consumer wants very seamless delivery of communication for various aspects of tech usage. And of course, the point that Nita had mentioned, that health and hygiene is a super tech trend for consumers. So this is what the audience also believes, and we'll come back to Nita and Nikhil for more discussion on this